1138, and we are live in Southwest Florida in my studio. If you're joining me live, please say hello. Ouchie! I stepped on my computer cord. That's okay.
To spread our love.
Let's see. If you are joining me live, please say hello. Let me know how your weekend was. Let me know if you've been crafting. Let me know if you have any questions for me. I'll be showing you what I'm working on today in a minute. And for those of you that have been requesting a crochet version of the Acqua Mobius Cowl, that's what I'm working on, and I am more than halfway finished with it, so I will show you that. So as soon as I finish it, I will then, the chart is written, the instructions are written. They're not quite laid out in pattern format yet, but they will be soon. As soon as I finish the project, I will block it, weave in my ends, get photos taken of it, edit the photos, add all of that to the pattern, and then release the pattern. So shouldn't be too much longer. I'll show you my progress, and we'll go from there. Hi Judy and Thea, Sharon, Marlene, Janet, Judy, Diane, Tammy, Judy. Good morning, everybody, and welcome back to my show. I'm so glad you're here. Hi, Chris. Good morning. Okay, so who's ready to see a crochet version of this knit Mobius today? And I think it's not going to actually be a Mobius. I think I might make it like a rectangular wrap with an edging, but that means that you'll also have both options. Angela has added some crochet power stitches on her Carleen cowl. That's awesome, wonderful. Yeah, add more stitch patterns to it, right? Once you understand how to add different multiples, it's wonderful. Okay, so I used the same yarn, but in a different color pack. So remember how this color pack, well, let me go grab the other shawl. But remember how we did, Hobie Yarn sent me 3 different color packs of the same yarn. So in the Friends Cotton 8/8, which is their DK weight 100% cotton yarn, they sent me 3 color packs, which is a curated collection of 10 colors that they put together that really work well for a palette. So this was the color pack that they sent me that I made the Isabella modular wrap pattern in, which has, like, I don't know, kind of romantic vibes, but kind of also Moroccan vibes to me, with all of the terracottas and neutrals, with all of the pinks and roses. Like, I really, really love this. I love these colors. But then they sent me these colors. So this is a 10 pack of different colors of blues, greens, and teals. So really beautiful vibes as well. A little more oceany, hence the name, Acqua Knit Cowl. It's the Italian word for water, and I thought it was very appropriate for this beautiful, beautiful water-inspired color combination. So I know a lot of people were wanting this type of a stitch pattern in crochet because they don't knit and what have you. Although this is super easy, if you have basic knitting skills, you could definitely make this. But then they sent a 3rd color pack, which is definitely a little more Valentine's Day-ish. This has all sorts of pinks and purples in combination. So all 10 colors are represented here. You can see how it starts with this dark violet here. And so it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and then we start over with the colors again. Can you see the repeat beginning of the next set of colors? Right? So I could definitely turn this into a Mobius wrap like this, but I have a feeling that it might be a little bit longer than the knit version of it, which means it might be pretty as a rectangular wrap too. So then you would have the option of either continuing on and making it a little bit longer than a Mobius wrap and making it a shawl, or stopping before you go through all of the yarn to make it the Mobius wrap as well. I believe this one was around 40 inches long or 36 inches long, and I think this one's going to be closer to 60, but we'll see. However long it is, when I finish all 10 colors with 2 repeats of each color, I will then decide whether or not it's appropriately sized to do this wrap, or the Mobius cowl wrap, or if I'll keep it flat and add an edging, because they did send me a second package of yarn. So once I go through all 10 balls to make the wrap, I could dip into the second set of 10 colors and do a really elaborate edging or maybe fringe or something, you know, like the, not cut fringe, but one of my fringe edgings. You know, all the choices that we have from Crochet Power 2, my edgings book. Thanks, Judy. Thanks, Tammy. Thank you, Joe. Thank you, Thea and Chris, Erica. Yeah, don't you love the, so which color combo do you like better? So this one would be color combo number 1. I don't remember the names, like their color packs are, I think I have 12, 14, 15, I don't remember. You'll see them if you go to the link that Judy provided. Thank you, Judy, for providing it. So which colorway do you like better? The warmer tones here with the pinks and the neutrals, the blues and the greens, or the pinks and the purples? Like, I don't think I can pick. I think I like all of them so much in different ways, you know, but all 3 sets are pretty. I really love the way they combine colors, and I know I say this all the time, but for somebody that likes to combine colors myself, I really love the fact that they take care of all that for you. So especially if you're not really confident with picking colors together, I think the color packs are definitely the way to go, because so far, every single color pack that I've ordered from them has been phenomenal. Remember the one from the, oh, what's the new vest called? It's been a long week. I don't remember. Gigi, the new Gigi Duster vest. Remember that one? I don't have it right here in front of me, but that's in a different color. That's in a different yarn. That was in the #1 fingering weight organic baby cotton, and even those color packs are amazing. All of the Friends cotton, like you can get this in different weights too. The Friends cotton 8.8 is the DK weight, then the 8.6 is sport weight, and the 8.4 is fingering weight. They all come in color packs too. So there's like 100 colors to choose from if you want to pick on your own, but these color packs are really cool too. Yeah, Tammy, if you're intimidated by color, the color packs are definitely the way to go if you're getting caught up on picking colors. Yep, definitely. Thanks, Judy, for sharing all the links. I appreciate it. How are you doing, sweetheart? Do you want to say hi to everybody? Says, no, I want to lay on all 10 balls of the yarn all at once. He placed himself just, because I have all 10 balls lined up so I can pull them in the right order for doing the stripes on stuff like this. And sometimes Baby Bjorn decides to perfectly align himself so he's laying on all 10 balls at the same time. Such a good helper, aren't you? Yes, my good helper. I came up with I had an idea yesterday for a home deck idea. There's just not enough time in the day, right? I have more ideas than I have time to implement everything. However, I did want to tell you that, and this is inspired by one of my favorite memories of living in Israel, and that is going to Bedouin tents. Bedouin, I don't know if I'm saying that correctly, Bedouin, like the nomadic tribe people that would travel with camels and tents, and whenever they would set up in the desert, and we would see them on our way, if we were going through the desert to go to Eilat or the Dead Sea or whatever, and so we would go to these Bedouin tents, and wherever they set up, they would sell food. So they would make homemade pita bread, and they'd make labneh, which is that really rich yogurt dip, and they'd make all other kinds of foods there. And you could, there was like a pop-up, I guess, so to speak. You know, we talk about pop-up shops now. Well, they were doing that with restaurants forever. And anytime we would go to one, you would sit on the ground. They would have Persian rugs, or, you know, Persian style rugs all over the floor, all over the sand, right? Because we're in the desert. And then they'd have rolled up ones that would sit behind you, and that would be like the back of a chair so that you could sit there. And they'd be big, big rolls. And you would sit there, and that's where you would eat. And it was so cool, and just so, and set under a tent so you'd have some shade because it was so hot. And I was thinking to myself, you know, sometimes here when I have my dinette set up as a couch, which I'm really liking, I feel a lot more comfortable here, especially switching between knitting and crochet. Sometimes that table is just really difficult for me to get my arms in the right position to knit and crochet, and I'm really just fixed in that one seated position where I have more options when it's set up as a couch. So one thing that found on Amazon, let's see if I can turn this around for you to see. I have this kind of a table set up. You can find it in my Amazon shop if you want. It's really cool because it's more like a desk, because it has, it can tilt up and down. It has side pockets where you can put like pens or tape measures and scissors and yarn needles if that's your business. And so it's much bigger than a normal like table lap desk. So it's quite a bit bigger, and I think with this and sitting like this, I'm really enjoying the more relaxed and more flex space this way. But what I was going to say after that is that when I have blankets that I like for my color aesthetic, I've been rolling them up and decorating them as pillow rolls along the sides here. But what I was thinking is, not all of our blankets match our decor, right? And so I was thinking about making, you know how a yoga mat bag is just like a tube? It's a bag that starts with a circle, it's a tube, and then there's a drawstring at the top. I was thinking about making pillow covers for blankets after they're rolled up. Does that make sense? Because that way, your blanket, all your extra blankets could be on display when you're not using them and have a dual purpose of being cute pillows. And guess what? That could be done with any stitch pattern in Crochet Power, because every stitch pattern has an even in round section. So if you worked even in rounds for the whole tube, in, you know, however big you want it, you could actually make a drawstring on both sides. Does that make sense? Or you could make a circle on the bottom and go up from there. But I just thought it'd be a great way to tie in the colors better, because not all our blankets match. And so yes, this is going to be a perfect application for my specific situation, but I figured everybody else has mismatched blankets too, and it's just, and it reminds me of that beautiful experience that I had eating amazing food in Bedouin tents in the desert in Israel. So I don't know, it's always fun for me when I can take a memory from some different part of my life and apply it to something else. Yeah, great way to store Christmas blankets or blankets that you wouldn't necessarily want on display. You know, it's a better way to organize stuff, and having a dual purpose is great too. Yeah, it will make tubular pillow shams for our throws. And like I said, if there's throws that fit your aesthetic and your color palette, then that's fine, they can stay out. But you know as well as I do that not everything matches. Could be because there's gifts or they're holiday themed, and just instead of filling your closets and running out of space for storage, I feel like this is a great, and picking the color for these covers in your color theme. So pick a yarn that fits your aesthetic and your home decor color palette, and then you're tying everything in a little better, getting more organized, and having dual purpose for your stuff. I think blankets are so bulky, they take up a lot of space, and this way you can use them instead of storing them. Awesome, Donna, I'm glad you get it. So you can wait for me for the patterns, or you can empower your own creative spirit and just go pick up your copy of Crochet Power, or buy a copy of Crochet Power and look through all the stitch patterns in the even and round section. Even and rounds is the construction style that you would want to use to do this. Again, another reason why I wrote these books, Crochet Power 1 and Crochet Power 2, and that is to empower your creative spirit so you don't always need a pattern. You can get started on stuff when you have ideas out of, ideas on the whim like this. Something comes to you like, oh, let me just go grab that book and I can get started right now. Oh, awesome. Steffi was just thinking about how to store her blankets too. Wonderful. Oh, Craze Vintage Mal, you bought these too. I love these. These are definitely my colors, that, that turquoise with the brown and the black and the white fringe. I love these so much. And yeah, so they fit my color aesthetic in here, but like some of my other blankets don't, and I think it's just going to be perfect to be able to grab a teal yarn or maybe something in the teal family or something even in the gray family and make those covers. And I think it might be cool to pick one color of yarn, but then pick different stitch patterns so that they're kind of matchy and kind of not matchy at the same time. Donna, what do you mean, like a home deck book? Is that what you mean by that? Can I pick you up and show everybody how cute and sweet you're being right now? Yeah, I've always wanted to do a home deck book. On the top of my dream books that I've never gotten around to so far, one of them is home deck. And does anybody remember another one of my dream book ideas that I haven't done yet? I've been talking about it for, I don't know, 15 years. Yeah, square pillows could be blanket hiders too. Yeah, I could show you how to do, and that could be done with the even and round section where you learn how to make squares with the pillows too. Or we could even combine even and rows with increase in rounds to do a square for the front and then do 2 rectangles for the back that overlap so that you could fit your pillows in that way too. Oh, cooking's always been, I've been dreaming of a cookbook for probably 30 years. But there's another knit and crochet kind of book that's been on the top of my list for, oh gosh, at least 15 years. Cooking and crochet is there too, yes, but this one is something that I've been dreaming about maybe before that. My favorite idea for a knit and crochet book that has nothing to do with cooking. Jewelry's a good one too. Yeah, like these are, but all ideas that I've talked about and that I want to do, but there's one that is probably the top of my list of things that I've always wanted to put in a book. I'll wait and see for a couple more guesses. And look at this sweet baby. Oh, there's nothing better than a sucky baby in your arms. Absolutely nothing. This is one of my greatest blessings, getting to hold him. Thank you, Donna. Thank you. You know I love gold. Yeah, cooking and crochet I've been talking about for a long time too. I love that idea as well. And that's definitely going around in my brain most of the time. All right, I don't see any guesses. So red carpet, evening gowns, long dresses, and formal wear is really what has been one of my biggest dreams for doing a knit and crochet book. I've always wanted to do like maybe even somewhat wedding formal wear, but not necessarily all wedding dresses. I would like to do dresses that you could wear to a cocktail party, dresses that you could wear to, you know, a maxi dress, a regular dress, but dresses and red carpet. Like I always wanted to call it red carpet crochet. That was, and I pitched it to a couple of publishers when I used to work with book publishers, you know, like Vogue and Interweave, and nobody thought it was interesting enough or would appeal to enough audiences to pick up the idea, but it's always been a dream of mine to do that type of, so like wedding shawls, but I was thinking even like bridesmaids, not just the bride, but bridesmaids, and what you would wear to a formal event or a cocktail dress. I think that it has been trendy enough. Remember when that lady crocheted her wedding dress on the train when on her commute? Like there's been enough people to show up in mainstream media for making their own wedding dresses that I think there would be more appeal for doing a larger project type book like that. But I just think it would be so fun, and would love to do it in both knitting and crochet, but not just gowns and dresses, but accessories to go with all that. So like your evening clutch and your jewelry and, you know, and shawls, lace shawls that would be more formal wear, but I would love to do a more formal collection for sure. Yeah, cookbook's been the top of my list. In fact, long before I even knit and crocheted, I remember being in college and I was in a oh gosh, what was that class? A public speaking class. I think that's what it was. Yeah, wasn't it public? Yeah, I was in a public speaking class, and which I totally loved. No surprise there, right? I love public speaking. Anyway, also a dream of mine to become a public speaker, motivational speaker, but that's a side note. So one of the things we had to do was do a demo, and the teacher had to videotape us. And it was with the old-fashioned VHS videotape recorder, because I was in college in the late 90s, mid to late 90s. And for my demo, I did, what did I call it? This was before I even went to the Middle East. I called it the Mediterranean fast food sandwich or something like that. And I literally made homemade hummus, homemade baba ganoush, homemade pesto, homemade olive tapenade, all of these homemade roasted peppers. I made all, it was vegetarian too. It was the Mediterranean vegetarian fast food sandwich. And my whole shtick for the demo was to show them how to layer all of these things and make it a pressed sandwich. And then I had samples for the entire class. This was so long, so far, this was way before Food Network came out. This was way before the internet was out. Like, I wasn't getting these ideas from another cooking show. The only thing that was on TV for cooking back then was like Julia Child and other people on PBS. Like this, and Mediterranean was not nearly as common as it was back then, as it is now. So a lot of the people just probably had no idea what I was doing. And I remember just feeling like I was on fire in a good way. I felt so much adrenaline, so much positive energy, and I got an A+ for my demonstration, probably because I fed everybody too. Never hurts to feed people, right? But I don't know, I loved it. Yeah, I've seen a couple of those too, Anna, and because they've been picked up by mainstream media, I feel like, and with the slow fashion movement, I think that now, a formal wear collection of knitting and or crochet would definitely be more interesting to more people than maybe it was when I pitched the book ideas 15 years ago. So, and I don't really care. I don't really care if I find a publisher anymore. I really enjoy having the full creative control of publishing my own books anyway. So, well, let's see. Don't want any complaints about cleavage today. I did read Friday Night Knitting Club. Yep, I have been ahead of my time in certain ideas, Judy, and really wish I'd have followed through on them. Back then, after college, I had this vision of doing a food delivery service for people that didn't have the time to cook homemade food, and they could pick up prepackaged meals to take home and heat for their families. And long before HelloFresh or any of the other meal delivery services, long before Weight Watchers and who's the other one that does it on TV, I had this idea of doing it local and having people come to my little shop and pick up their meals to take home, long before all of that stuff. And didn't follow through with that either. Yeah, yes, promoting the book at bridal shows would be a great idea for a couple of reasons. Number one, there's probably one or more people in anybody's given tribe or circle of people or friends and family that can knit and crochet. So if you liked that vibe for your wedding, you could buy the book and give it to them to do all of that. Rose did some public speaking and demonstration of cooking of Asian cuisine. Oh, that's cool. Wonderful. Yep, that's true too, Anna. There are some under 30 people creating fashionable clothing. Yeah. I know, Chris. I look back at some of my ideas and, I was using, I was making healthy salad dressings back in the late 90s. I was making creamy Italian dressing with non-fat Greek yogurt or with non-fat yogurt back in the late 90s, and thinking that I came up with this amazing thing that I could make creamy dressings with no non-fat yogurt, and it would be so much healthier than the mayonnaise and sour cream versions. And again, way before that whole trend came out too. Erica still has VHS tapes. That's funny. That's cool. My mom has VHS tapes. In fact, my mom has my old collection of VHS and my old collection of DVDs, because I don't have, I haven't had a DVD player or a VHS player in years. So I donated all my movies to her years and years ago, and that's, I mean, she has her own too, but she's got some of my favorite old ones. Is Picasso with you? Ah, Cherie still has VHS tapes and the camera to film them with. That's cool. Yeah, I know Gregory Stitch. He does do beautiful gowns. One of my favorites of his is with peacock feathers. I love his gowns. Very pretty. Oh, poor Picasso. That's what my mom had too, Chris. And then we found her a combo machine that did VHS and DVD, and then that broke, and now she's down to just a DVD player because I can't find a VHS one that's not used, and she doesn't like the idea of getting a used one. I'm the eBay fan. I like to buy things used on eBay. Oh, you want to see how much I've read of my first culinary cookbook or culinary textbook? Look how far I am. That's the beginning. I'm up to 200 pages. I've got 6 books to read. I'm up to page 199 out of. Oh, that's great, Angela. I'm happy for him. Oh, it's over 1,000 pages, and I'm up to page 199. So definitely making some progress. And then I have a bunch of other ones to read too. I'm still working on the crochet motif class, and gosh, I'm definitely going to be breaking it into 2 classes. Like I said last week, I want to set up just squares for the first one, and then we'll do other shapes for making fabrics in the second one, because doing shapes that join perfectly right on top of each other is going to be a lot easier to learn than learning offset with circles and hexagons and octagons. So I feel like it really, and with mini motifs, and I feel like we really need to separate it into 2. So the first Mastering Motifs course, part 1, is going to be about squares with their counterpart triangle half motifs. It'll all the pieces, all of the stitch patterns that you'll get in the first class are going to be squares and a triangle version or half motif version of those squares, to combine them for different things. And then in the second class I'll show you how to combine hexagons, octagons, and circles, where and when we would add mini motifs in between, where and when we would deconstruct them into half motifs to fill out spaces. So there'll be some ideas in each class of how to combine these to make a bag, a wrap, a blanket, a shawl, and a poncho, maybe some simple garments, nothing too crazy. A ruana, what else did I put in there? A vest, a bunch of different things that you can. I actually think that I added schematics for some garments too, like long sleeve things, but it's not going to be hopefully that didn't interrupt the live stream. Yeah, I was getting a phone call. It stopped. Can you hear me now? Okay, yeah, you can hear me now. Yeah, a phone call came in, that was all. So it's going to be a lot more conceptual, again, so that you can take this information and explore with it. It's not going to be where, because I want you to see that depending on what size you make these motifs, you could create different things. So it's going to have motifs, it's going to have how to make the motifs, lots of different ways of how to join them together, schematics for making different types of projects. But because of sizing, to make different sizes, and sizing in what size of yarn and what size of motifs you're making, I'll explain the math for all of that. But it would be impossible to write patterns for all of that, because if your motif is done on fingering weight yarn and a 3mm hook, or a bulky weight yarn and a 10mm hook, you're either going to have a 3-inch square or a 10-inch square. Can't write the pattern for all the sizes for all of that. It would become 1,000 pages. It's just, oh good, Anna just made her first toe-up sock. That's exciting. Yeah, that's, you know, socks seem like a small and easy project, but they are very technical, and there's a lot of different techniques that go into making a sock. That's good for you. Good for you. Yeah, this is definitely the place to share your accomplishments, because we're all very excited for anybody who's learning and growing and making something, and we all know how it feels to decide that we want to learn something and be successful at it. So yeah, this is the place to share that, because we're all happy for you, definitely. Yep, there's lots of ways to, there's so many ways to make socks, and so many ways to do the toe and the heel, and yeah, very interesting. Definitely not a beginner project, and they're usually done on thin yarn too, which makes them even more challenging. I think if you wanted to learn them for the first time, I would make slipper socks and do thicker yarn, because it is a lot of work to combine all of those components on really thin yarn and small needles. That's great, Cherie. Just learned to knit. Yeah, and that's just talking about technique, not adding stitch patterns or color work, which people do with that too. I've taught how to make. Ah, Cherie learned to knit from taking my knit class. Wonderful. That's great. Yeah, I think I have 3 classes out so far. I have 2 or 3 of them are done. I have 5 total for the Introduction to Knitting series. Still just working on different components of them in the background. It's a lot more work that goes into a class than you'd think. Well, I guess not. If you figure, if I'm putting 4 hours of edited video instruction and a 40-page handout together, that's the finished product. That's already a lot. So if you figure there's, you know, at least twice as much of that, or 3 times as much of that to created before being whittled down into the finished product, it does take a really long time to do them. But I really enjoy taking my time and doing it right, because my goal is for everybody to learn something, right? And Cherie is a prime example. She's just made her first project in knitting because she took my class. So wonderful. I couldn't be happier to hear that. Speaking of Feather and Fan, this is a version of Feather and Fan also. I love Feather and Fan. In fact, the crochet one would be a crochet version of Feather and Fan too. Thank you, Judy. I love teaching. I love teaching, and I love hearing that people do learn from me. So that's awesome. Does anybody have any other questions? Oh, if anybody's interested about my hair today, I'm trying out a new technique, a new idea that I've had, and that's to just French braid the top of my head, and then from here do a regular braid, and then use it like a headband. See how I've not gone all the way, and my hair's not done on the bottom. It would look cuter if I had put curls in this or straightened it or whatever, and I didn't. But so this is just natural, not great hair. But anyway, I take a bobby pin and I tuck it in behind my ears so that it feels like a headband. Does that make sense? Can you see? Can you see how I've put it back there? Now when my hair's curled or beachy waves, I feel like it looks more like a headband, but Does that make sense? Feels good to have your hair out of your face without having to put everything up. And I think because in catering and working in the kitchen, my hair's always all the way up, that I like to be able to leave my hair down sometimes when I'm not in a kitchen or catering. Does anybody want to hear any updates on the catering stuff? Because I've had some fun experiences this week doing that too. Awesome, Janet. Okay, so Thursday, Chef invited me to go to an equipment show that was not open to public, only for people in the industry. So I've been going to, I've been going to crafting trade shows for years and years. I did lingerie trade shows for years. So I went to a restaurant equipment show, which was amazing. I got to see, they had robotics there, so you could see how different robots are working in kitchens now to take over for, kind of like self-help checkout in the grocery stores. Well, imagine having robots doing the work for people inside a kitchen. So we watched pizza being made by a robot, and we watched French fries being made by a robot. Is there a video of me knitting socks from the toe up? I've done socks a bunch of different ways on Knit and Crochet Now and on Knitting Daily TV, and I just don't remember which episodes are where, but you could look in both of those places because I have taught how to make socks on both TV shows. So we had to drive to Orlando, which is a 3.5-hour drive. Walked the whole show in 4 hours, which was over 10,000 steps, and then 3.5-hour drive back. But we got to see all sorts of stuff, and I don't know if I've mentioned one of the upcoming projects that Chef and I are working on, which is incredibly exciting, but we're working on outfitting 70 to 100-foot yachts with a professional kitchen to do dinner cruises here in Naples. How exciting is that, right? So what we'd be doing is the same thing that we do for doing dinner parties in people's homes. We go to our commercial kitchen and we prep and do a bulk of the cooking there. Then we pack everything up in large coolers, and then we go to the people's houses and we finish their meals in their own kitchens, serve 4 courses at their table, clean up their kitchen. We leave their kitchens cleaner than we found them, and then drive back to the kitchen and then unload and all that stuff. So what he's planning on doing next is to do this on yachts, where we would do a 3 to 4 hour dinner cruise, taking people out to the Gulf and feeding them a 4-course meal on a yacht in that 70 to 100-foot range. I think I think it's going to be somewhere in the 70 to 75-foot range. Anyway, so yeah, pretty exciting. Going to have definitely a learning curve, definitely going to have some challenges to it. And one of the things we went to the equipment show for was to look for different types of equipment that we would want to use, because yachts aren't really built for serious cooking. And so we went there with the idea in mind of looking for dishes and different equipment to there are people that are interested in loaning out their boats to do this series. So we'll be putting together. Chef has a friend who is a professional boating captain, and it's kind of like a concierge service where we will be working with people that own yachts that don't necessarily use them all the time, and it's kind of like an Airbnb kind of concept, but with yachts and cooking. So, and for now it's all here in Naples. So Thursday we went to the equipment show. Friday we had a meeting in the morning. Yeah, I know, I don't know how to sometimes I can film things and sometimes I can't, and so because I don't know what's going on and what I have rights to do with yet, I'm not filming things, but I'm sharing them with you instead. So like we went to a 72-foot boat on Marco Island on Friday, and we're mapping out the kitchen and the space, taking measurements, making sure that we had what we needed there, and getting a feel for the people who own that boat. And so we're planning on starting to do some dinners on that boat, and there are a couple of others that we have to go out and see and check out still, but we have to make sure that they have the right equipment or they have enough space for us to bring our own equipment to do all that. And I did take pictures on that boat, but because this isn't official yet, I don't really feel comfortable sharing things that aren't my things, you know. So we did that. Then we had a baby shower for 30 people on Saturday. So then after the boat meeting on Friday, we went back to the kitchen and we prepped all day, and then finished cooking Saturday morning, and then went to the private home, which was incredible, $10 million home. And we did a brunch for 30 people. The best part of this, though, I've got something really exciting to tell you, is that Marlon came to the kitchen for the first time on Friday to come say hi and meet Chef and see where I'm working. And guess what? He and Chef clicked and hit it off right away. And Chef said, do you like to cook? Would you like to come and work with us sometimes? And Marlon said, yeah, sure. Now, Marlon has a job right now, but it's a newer job and what have you. And he goes, well, why don't you come by tomorrow, and your mom will give you the address, wear all black, and come on by the house tomorrow, the $10 million house, and, you know, come help out and see if you like what we do. And he did. And he did great. He listened to me, he listened to Chef, he hustled, he worked, and Chef offered him a job. So, Chef offered him a job yesterday. And so what you know, me, you know how conservative and old-fashioned I am. I'm like, Marlon, don't quit your other job yet. You know, Chef wants to grow the business here, which means we need more employees to pick up more jobs and stuff. But I need Marlon to do both jobs until the hours pick up, right? So we're going to work on schedules and stuff, but Marlon worked with me on Saturday, and he might start working with me regularly, and gosh, that's exciting. Isn't that exciting? I would love for Marlon to experience all this and be able to learn some new skills too. Learning high-end cooking and private catering will not hurt him in his future, especially for somebody who doesn't know what they want to do yet. I think learning amazing skills and getting to work with me is going to be really good for him. And I think it's just going to be good for both of us to be able to spend more time together, since I haven't really been able to spend much time with him since we lost the house last year. So I thought you guys would be excited to hear about that too. Yeah, I'm excited. It is a lot of fun, Angela. It is. And, you know, I get to see such beautiful homes, such beautiful kitchens. Thanks, Chris. You know, getting involved in the hospitality industry is not a bad idea in such a wealthy area of the country here in Naples. So I feel like it gives us an opportunity to stay here and not have to move away. Baby Bjorn is letting me just play with his little tootsies right now, you sweetheart. I do get to sample the food, yes. It's part of the cooking process. You have to taste it to make sure that it's well seasoned. We're always tasting things, yes. And one thing that I do, you know, Chef is in charge. I'm his number one. And so when Marlon and some of the other younger kids work with us, my goal is to feed them to keep them focused, right? So so I'll tell them not in front of the clients or something, but go in the back butler's kitchen and here, go eat this sandwich. And so I teach them how to eat food sneaky. And then I keep feeding them all day, and it keeps them focused and keeps them listening to me. You know, rewarding positive behavior, right? Does anybody have any other questions? Whether about this or the other stuff we've talked about today. If you have any other questions, let me know. Yeah, definitely. Definitely. I want to keep them focused, and I want to reward positive behavior, and it's working. They listen. That's all I want. I just want them to listen. So I do whatever I can to make sure they listen. And they do great. Marlon did a great job. Okay, tomorrow I have to switch the time of the show tomorrow morning. I will not be available at 10 a.m. I could either do the show at 8:30 a.m. or 11:30 a.m. or somewhere later, or like a noon. We could do something like that instead. Tomorrow will be Shawls for Sharing, so we'll be talking about the Tranquil Tiles crochet shawl. But it could either be very early in the morning, which I would not prefer. I would rather do it after my 10 a.m. meet, or 9:30. I have a meeting at 9:30, and I won't be back by 10. So I was thinking that I could do the Shawls for Sharing episode like at 11 or 12. Does that sound okay with everybody, or the majority? I'm open to your ideas, though. I was thinking that I might schedule it for later in the day. And then maybe we can go outside with baby Bjorn. I set up our seating area around behind the RV yesterday, and he doesn't get spooked as much back there, which means he sits out there longer, and he actually stays there, stays long enough to get relaxed and, you know, lying down and resting. And so I got to read my textbooks a lot outside yesterday, and so our rug is not making it. The rug that I brought from the old house, it's just not meant for being totally open. So I found a really cool artificial grass rug on Amazon. I saw it originally at Home Depot, but it was a lot more expensive at Home Depot, so I ended up buying one on Amazon. It arrives Friday. Can you imagine how much baby Bjorn is gonna like rolling around on artificial grass rug? It's totally waterproof. It can be hosed down for cleaning. I'll share it with you as soon as I get it. Hold on. That's awesome, Margaret. What was else I going to say? Okay, so I'll schedule tomorrow's show for noon, which I think will be a safer time to be sure that I'm back by there. Oh, thank you, Lori. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. Oh, and remember, you remember where I got the idea for the AstroTurf for artificial grass rug was from that really fancy house that I went to a couple months ago with the catering, and that's how they have their whole pool deck area. There is no cement slabs around their pool. It's all artificial grass, and I was so inspired by how beautiful it was, and then thinking how much baby Bjorn would love it. Well, of course, whatever baby Bjorn wants, baby Bjorn gets, right? So I think it's going to look so pretty out there when we get it. In the meantime, I moved all the chairs in the back. I think moving my plants back there, they might get more shade, and I've lost a lot of my plants this year. Got to start some of them over, unfortunately, but I think they're going to do better back there as well. So maybe we'll do the show outside tomorrow, and I can show you some of that, and maybe baby Bjorn will sit out there with us. Wouldn't that be fun? Be nice to do something outside for a change. All right, any other questions? All right, I don't see any other questions. So thank you all so much for taking time out of your busy day to spend a few minutes here with me. I hope you enjoyed all our talk about yarn and color and showing the different options for these and talking about everything else as well. Do cooking herbs grow in Florida? Our gardening season here for food is opposite of what it is in the rest of North America, and so winter is when we can grow vegetables and herbs. Summer we cannot. So my farmers markets are open now. Our farmer markets are open from October to May, and the rest of the year they're not, and that's because our summers are too harsh for that type of thing. So yes, I could grow herbs right now. My schedule is just so not settled right now. I don't I don't feel settled enough to add another commitment right now. But I would love to have a garden with herbs sooner than later. Yes, that is definitely on my list of things to accomplish. All right, thank you all so much for taking time out of your busy day to spend a few minutes here with baby Bjorn and me. I hope you enjoyed all my show and tells, chatting with me and everyone else. Let us make time to create, share, and inspire today and every day. If you'd like to subscribe to my channel, please do so. If you'd like to click thumbs up, I'd appreciate that as well. And if you don't want to do either, I'm just happy you're here. It's okay. All right, have a great day, everybody. I'll see you tomorrow. Bye-bye.